So, yeah, long time no see. It's actually a real sentence. I have never been thinking about it as actually real. But yeah, it is. And with that being said, I hope you had a wonderful day and you will have a wonderful day nevertheless. And yeah, I'm fucking sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. um, but yeah, we will go ahead with the next book summary because I was actually recording the last episode just before this one. Therefore, for me, it's like, the next one, which is Wooden. So this is actually the second one. So if you haven't been checking out the other one, I will totally suggest you to go through this one before this. Because I don't think this is some kind of build on each other, but it is definitely a little bit better to just, have a whole piece in your hands rather than one tile or one piece of it or just another piece of it. So I would totally invite you, not only because I get a view from this or I get a click from this, but also because I think that you will get something from it. Yeah, definitely. I think you could actually get something from every single episode that I've put out over the past months, especially the last ones, because the first ones were totally shit, completely shit, and in the middle they got a little bit better, and every time they got better and better, and maybe I might be even thinking about these episodes that these are fucking shit. You will never know. Probably. Maybe because of the audio, maybe because it is kinda boring maybe in the future if I'm just sitting here talking to you. I don't know. I'll see. I'm excited for it. Okay. We haven't been going through these that I'm just reading right now. No? Yeah, I've stopped there actually. Your faith, and I think this is actually the last one I've been going through and the last one, but I will just repeat it to kind of get into the mood of this book, if this makes any fucking sense. But yeah, so if you know, your faith, whatever it may be, is the greatest shelter of all. I kind of believe in it as well. So I do think just your mindset and your inner living, just in your body, just your mind, let's say fucking mind. I think your mind is pretty important, especially if there are hard days and if there are tough times and, whatever there is. If you have a great mind and if you have a very, very strong mind, I think you will just, kind of survive some sort of, quote unquote, quite everything, because you can just go to yourself or maybe go to other people if you're just surrounded by great people who are just really, taking care of you if you need them and, whatsoever. I think these two things are just really important, especially when you're having tough times. But yeah, and also just putting great things into you and having a great input through the music that you're listening to, through the other shit that you're listening to, through the people you surround yourself with, through the things you are watching. If you're constantly watching something that's so deep and so just sad, what do you expect? All the things, at my point of view, that we are consuming just really have, an impact on us, and they just really influence us. So therefore, I kind of believe in it, not listening to sad music, even though I do have to say there are a lot of sad songs out there, which is quite amazing in a negative way, but because I think okay, there are so many beautiful things you could talk about, but I also understand, okay, if you had a just really tough upcoming or just something else that was in your life, especially, the hip-hop community will definitely be talking about it and will definitely be just making songs about it. And I understand this as well, Don't get me wrong by saying, okay, never ever produce something that might be a little bit sad. But actually, therefore, just finding music and finding songs that are not so negative is quite difficult, at least for me. I don't know. So often we fail to acknowledge what we have because we are so concerned about what we want. I've actually read that one. But yeah, totally. There's a great one from Henderson, which is actually an musician, and he does a little rap, and maybe you know him, maybe not. Henderson, it's HenderSeSin, and most of the time he has really just positive songs in terms of the melody. I'm never ever just keeping any fucking attention to the lyrics. This is something I just don't do. I subconsciously might be doing it. I don't know. But just consciously, I only do it when I think about it, But most of the time I just, let it be what it is. And the only thing that's some kind of, influencing me is the melody. Or it seems for me to be like this. Maybe it's not. I don't know. So it's important to keep trying to do what you think is right, no matter how hard it is or how often you fail. You never stop trying. I'm still trying. Totally, and I think this kind of something that's playing into the hands of this one is that you should always be doing the right thing and not the easy thing. This is something that I've learned just back in the days where I was just listening to motivational speeches from Les Brown. Actually, Will Smith, which I didn't know by 2019 or 18 actually, Eric Thomas, and a lot of great people. And through these people, I've learned so much. And I think these people were just the really base for actually me being in such a great mindset, for me being so happy, for me being just me. And I'm quite happy to be me, and not to be arrogant, but to just be grateful about what my life is, and how I've developed myself, and whatsoever. And I do really hope that you will just get where I am, or get to such a place where I right am through such an equivalent for you, quite the same thing for you, but not in my position, obviously. So just that you're happy, or that you like who you are. I think that's important as well. But to just make it a little bit shorter, just always do what you think is the right thing, and not what's easy, because most often the easy thing isn't actually the right thing, and the other way around. Never believe you're better than anybody else, but remember that you're just as good as everybody else. Quite great, I would say. It's definitely a great quote if you wanna just look at it like this, but I do not quite feel like if this is actually the truth. I'm now seeing something, because actually these are the best moments you can have. If you're just going through so much things and you're listening to so much people that are just maybe talking about the same things or are in the same realm as the books you're reading or going through, that there are sometimes connections. And sometimes you are like, this guy must have read whatever, this fucking book, because he's just talking about so many things that's standing in this book, so many advices that he gives are actually also in this book. And this is the exact same thing that I'm always thinking about Gary Vee. The problem is that I just know that he has only just read a few books in his entire life, because he don't likes it, which is totally fine. So if you're a person who doesn't like reading books, don't do it. Nevertheless you will get, or besides the whole fact that you might get knowledge you need whatsoever, you can get it through the internet as well, or just work in a certain place, because at my point of view, just being a practitioner and just doing this certain thing will just let you learn this certain task way faster than actually being theoretical about it and just reading a lot about it. Even though I have to say reading is great, because according to Elon Musk himself, he said that through the books that he was reading on rocket science and physics and whatever he was reading, he was then able to really just build fucking rockets. And this is what he said, and this seems to be true. The problem is he's definitely such an intelligent person. I totally can feel it, and maybe just because of this, he's just able to do that. I don't know, but yeah. So I'll keep that in mind. Hopefully, keep that in mind. But to just come back to the initial point that I wanted to make, which was that Gary Vee himself also said, okay, he knows that everybody is shit. No, wait a second. Because he did say it in quite the negative way of it, but ultimately it was just quite the same. Maybe it was just saying, okay, he is shit, or he sucks shit, and then the other person, the interviewer, was like, this is but just really negative, that, and then he said like, but everybody is shit, so therefore it's quite the same thing, never assume that you're, the best or even the worst, because everybody's worse and everybody's the best, whatsoever. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me, this is also the great thing. You can just, contact me as well, or just write to me as well through maybe DM. You can just, comment down below, or you could do just a lot of things. So if you want to, and if there's something you want to talk about, or if there's something you just, you don't like, or you didn't like about this episode, please tell me, I'm always quite up for just interacting with the people that are actually going through my content, actually watching me, actually maybe even liking me and liking the content that I'm putting out. I'll definitely see. Very early we understood that there would be times when we disagreed, but there would never be times when we had to be disagreeable. I totally think that this is such a great sentence, but I don't understand it. I'm sorry. Abraham Lincoln once said that the best thing a man can do for his children is to love their mother. This is definitely one of these things that I think you should just put them in another context. But I'm just trying to I kind of just put it into business perspective. What if you just like, okay, the best thing for you having a job is just to love the business. The best thing for your boss, would you be loving their business? Could you say that? This would make sense. Maybe because I'm just putting it into such a way that I just like it. Maybe it's this. I don't know. I probably am. But yeah. So the person you are is the person your child will become. Definitely. And this is totally something that I've been thinking about quite a lot, recently, which is that parents really have such a great influence on how their children will be, and what person they will be, what characteristics they have, what beliefs they have. And this is also the problem, because I quite feel like, if the parent is just shitty and has shitty kind of worldviews and shitty characteristics, how could then the child be a good person, just, quote unquote good person. This is very, very important, and this is very, very difficult. I still think that if your mother and if your whatever is shitty and has bad characteristics, or characteristics you actually don't like, then I think not every child has to be like their parents are. Be more concerned with your character than your reputation. Character is what you really are. Reputation is what people say you are. And this is one of the words that when you translate them, this is the exact same thing in German as well. Oh, or not. Totally. Reputation is such a subjective thing that people will just tell to other people about you, or something. So therefore, just give a fuck about it, even though it might be just important for you if you're just a public person or public figure or whatever. No, maybe I just got it wrong. Sorry, I really got it wrong. It's definitely not that important. So it is definitely important, your reputation. But I think people would just people will just talk anyways, So therefore, having good characteristics is totally something that I would say is good, yeah. Make the effort to do the best you are capable of doing in marriage, at your job, in the community, for your country. Yeah, totally. Perfection is what you are striving for, but perfection is an impossibility. However, striving for perfection is not an impossibility. Do the best you can under the conditions that exist. That is what counts. For just making it quite different, because I've always just here the window on, which is not the thing that I want to do, because I just want to make the episode a little bit more exciting for people to watch. It's not about the podcast. The podcast itself, I think, is great, and the people will contribute from it. I will contribute from it. People will like it someday. Anybody, everybody, not everybody, but somebody will like it. But in terms of the video, I'm not quite just satisfied with what it is. I just understand why people don't watch them, because they are not that interesting. And yeah. Interesting in terms of the video, not in terms of the content, but how the content gets shown to the people, and therefore I'll try to just have a few settings so that things are moving and things change up, and so that's not always just the fucking same as yeah. But about perfection, totally, just going for perfection is totally impossible. Or perfection is impossible, going for it is not impossible. But the thing is, don't get crippled by it. If you're just going for your perfection, this might cripple you, and you might dislike your way then, or whatever. But yeah. I tell people I definitely believe in God. Wooden writes, I just hope God believes in me. Okay. There is nothing wrong with having faults so long as you work consequently to correct them. Totally. Faults or flaws, actually. Isn't it the same? Never mind. People want to believe you are sincerely interested in them as a person, not just for what they can do for you. Quite the exact same shit that I've been always talking about. You should be talking in the interest of the other people. Not about you, because you are uninteresting to them, but they are more interesting to them than quite you are. Often. Not quite, the thing is not quite such a contrast, People just like to talk about themselves, and this is the point that I want to make. It's not about you are being uninteresting to them, definitely not. A lot of people will just be very interested in who you are and what you're doing, but most of the time, or just always, people like to talk about themselves as well. No matter what person it is, they just like to talk about themselves and what they have experienced, and how the day was, and whatsoever. And even though I do just have to say there will be some other people that might just like it more if you're just talking, but this is something that's not that quite often. But yeah, true happiness comes from the things that cannot be taken away from you. Could actually be the thing, And then you can totally say, okay, it's your mindset, it's your inner game, and it's not about what car you're driving and what house you have and what watch is on your wrist. But yeah, wouldn't believe that things turn out best for those who make the best of the way things turn out. I have to recap this again. Wooden believes that things turn out best for those who make the best of the way things turn out. Is it about the process? I'm not quite sure. I think it's about the process, and I will definitely say, okay, these people who like the process of achieving what they actually want, so their goal, these people, if they like this process, they are fucking in the best position they can ever be. Because if they like just going for being rich in just this way that they're doing it, or just going for whatever they want to do, and they just like what they're doing every single day to get to this goal, and having the perspective that you will get to this goal, and there's something, just some kind of a progress as well, because progress as well is important. I do think these people are in such a great place, and everybody should be, because yeah, I think way too much people work on things and just do things every single day they don't actually like to do. And why? You just, especially in terms of work, especially in terms of work, you're just working such a lot of percentage of your lifespan. You're just working, and why would you do then something that you actually don't like? This doesn't make any fucking sense to me. But I do also understand, which is totally something that I always, point out, people sometimes have to. I understand this, and that's shitty. That's totally shitty. You have little to say over how big or how strong or how smart or rich someone else may be. You do have, at least you should have control of yourself and the effort you give toward bringing out your best in whatever you're doing. This effort must be total, and when it is, wouldn't believe to have achieved personal success. I pretty much like it how this book goes for actually always being the best in every situation you are. Not in terms that you cripple yourself. This is, I think, totally not what the author wants you to be or to do, but actually just thinking about it. What could I do better right now? I think this is especially important when you're just dealing with people. I think you could always be a little bit better. You could just use another tone of voice. This makes a lot of change, it seems to be. Actually, if you are, I'm quite thinking if I actually should say this, but Jordan Belfort, you might be knowing him as, the bad person, or, which was actually the person Wolf of Wall Street, so the movie and the book was all about. And he actually had a system and, whatsoever, and quite a training. He put people in about selling things. And there I was talking about actually using another tone of voice, and why the tone of voice you're using actually makes a lot of difference in what you're just doing, and so on and so on and so on, which is, I think, totally the case. Because if I'm talking like this, then you might be thinking like I'm bored of what I'm doing right now. But if I'm speaking like this, you know that I'm excited about what I'm doing and that I'm passionate about it. And yeah, I think this makes a great, So if you're interested in it, maybe you check it out, but never, just, take something and use it in a negative way. Don't do this, just use it for selling good things, not just your shitty programs or something like this. Try your hardest in all ways and you are a success, period. Do less than that, and you have failed to one degree or another. Makes sense. Makes sense. Preparation is where success is truly found. Something I do not quite think, because I just really hate preparations. Always when I'm designing something, I just really like to go ahead with just actually doing something. I never ever like to just write something about it or just think like of concepts or whatever. Sometimes I have to, sometimes I try and enjoy it, but I'm always just, striving for actually going to work and going to just, do something. Rather than just always be sitting around just, thinking about things and, because I quite feel like, okay, in the process, I will, come across or stumble across a lot of problems that I'm having, and therefore I just will kind of solve them when I need to solve them. A successful journey becomes your destination and is where your real accomplishment lies. Okay. Likewise, in Wund's coaching, he informed every player who came under his supervision that the outcome of the game was simply a byproduct of the effort they made to prepare. This is actually something I've actually haven't been talking about this one, which I'm going to say right now, in quite a long time. Which is, money and being rich is actually a byproduct of being happy and doing something that you actually like. Because I understand, yeah, totally, that you will be or you could be getting rich through doing something you actually don't like, something that just gives you a lot of money and whatsoever. But this could be the case. I think in certain groups or in certain scenarios or with certain people, it might be the thing. But I think in general, if just people like what they're doing, and if they just like what they're doing every fucking single day, and if they're also good in it, which is totally something I kind of combine with if they like it, because I feel like, okay, if people like a certain thing and they're actually also good at it, maybe it's just because it's this exact same thing for me, but then I think being successful in this certain thing isn't just, like far away. If you like it, if you're good at it, why won't you be successful in it or successful by doing it? This is just quite correlated and they're quite just pretty near to each other. You never fail if you know in your heart that you did the best of which you are capable of. I did my best and that is all I could do. I would say, quite often people just know that it is not the case, because it's always like you could have done more and more. Even though I just have to say there will be a point where people will say, okay, this is what I did and this was enough and this was what I was capable of. And if this is not going to just give me the results I just want to have, then there is just something not wrong about my efforts, but of something else. I quite feel it. That might be the point. Totally. You can make mistakes, but you aren't a failure until you start blaming others for those mistakes. You can make mistakes, but you aren't a failure until you start blaming others for those mistakes. Totally. Something I've been talking about quite often as well. And if you just blame others, you just put them into the position of changing how you feel, or just in the position of actually changing what you dislike. If it's like, great example, you got fucked by your boss. Let's say this. Yeah, okay, you get fucked by your boss and you blame your coworker for this. And then you give the coworker the ability to change your feelings quite. Because if he didn't do it, you might just feel better right now. But you know that he just did it, whatever he did, and therefore you're just feeling bad. So therefore you just give him the power of just deciding how you feel. And this is not what you should do. You should actually be blaming yourself, for whatever it is. I know, even though some people go extreme with it and just, blame themselves for just the weather outside, something I don't believe in. I think, some things are just not controllable by the humankind. But a lot of things are. Just don't blame other people if you're just fucking something off. Do not become too concerned about what others may think of you. Be very concerned about what you think of yourself. Totally, I would say. Totally. Makes sense, because if you really understand that you're a great person, if you think that you're a great person, this is great. But if you think that you're a shitty person, that you hate yourself, that you're just a really kind of motherfucker, I don't know, then you're not in a good place, I think. Then you're just, I think this exact same thing. What the freaking hell? Just turn yourself off, motherfucker. The exact same thing that some people are talking about business is the exact same thing as I think about your body and yourself and whatever. Some people say that if a company isn't working in the inside, you can definitely see it in the outside as well. I do quite think that this is the same with people as well. So if you're not working in the inside and if you're just shitty in the inside, you and others and whatever can see it in the outside as well. If it is in terms of you eating shit, you can definitely see it in the outside of yourself, with your skin, and your skin being just not that nice. But also, I think like if you have depression, a lot of people who have depression, and which I'm hoping you not, they actually feel it on their fucking skin. They actually feel it in a physical way when they just, have their anxiety, or have their, how should I say, their certain points of the day where they just really fucking feel bad. They can actually feel it on their skin and on their actually physical appearance. Totally something that is quite, if you just think about it as, the mind and body connection is, totally great in a negative and also positive way. What you can do with a great mindset, or what you can do with a great mind, and, but also the other way around, because, if your body is shit, possibilities are there that your mind is also not in such a good place when it's, one way around. But I hope that you liked the episode. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you had a wonderful, 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 wonderful day, or will have one, totally. And if there's something you want to talk about, just hit me up. Always there for this, and always just looking forward for this. And I wish you the best self-health. I always say self-health, the best success, wealth, health, and happiness, especially happiness. But do not still forget about giving back to the people, period, and your legacy. I'll see you.